Alright, so we're gonna integrate the easy build system into the RPG creation kit. Just to set the stage a little bit, I'm on Unity 6.2.12, using the built-in render pipeline, although ultimately I don't think the pipeline would matter. Just obviously if you're using URP or HDRP, then you have conversion and other things to do, which you probably are already used to. All I have installed right now is the RPG creation kit, and actually here's a little mini tutorial-ish thing. I haven't even opened the cell view, so I usually want to come up here and do cell system, cell view, and dock that guy right there. I like to have the put it there, but wherever, because in order to run it, of course, you need to pick the main menu in order to run the game, and then you can go to different world spaces, etc. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do after installing the RPG creation kit is to install Easy Build System. So if you have the Easy Build System, you can just import that, and just everything is fine. There are a bunch of other integrations for other kits you could uncheck if you want to, or delete later, you know, whatever. Just upgrade whatever needs to be upgraded. And there we go. So one of the first things is that the Easy Build System has a slight conflict with the RPG creation kit when it's trying to call this draw arrow on the gizmo extension. And so if we just open that up and look here, it's calling gizmo extension draw arrow. So it has this. If you go into the Easy Build System, it's got this draw arrow, so the function does exist, but it doesn't exist in the RPG creation kit, which is also doing this gizmo extension class. And I'm not sure why there's not a conflict afterwards, but the RPG creation kit is winning as far as the extension loading goes. So I'm just copying this function here out of the Easy Build System gizmos extension, and we'll go into the RPG creation kit, into the scripts, general, gizmos extension, and there's a bunch of stuff. Probably these arrows would also be very similar, but I'm just going to take it and paste it in here to the RCK's version of the script, which is, as you can see, it's doing a C# extension of the gizmo extension. Anyway, we save that, and now when we rebuild, those errors should go away. So that's the first tricky thing down. Alright, and so and if we're looking at the document here, this is the document that I packaged up in the zip file that I used to make the PDF. So you can see we did the first thing there. I also put the function into the PDF, so we didn't have to go into the Easy Build System, but that's where it came from. Then there are a bunch of warnings in the RCK because it's duplicating the Unity navigation because of a because of an old system. So this is an optional thing. It doesn't really have to do with the easy build system, but I like to do it so these warnings go away. So if we go to World Inspector, World Space Inspector, this Unity Engine.ai, if we change that to Unity.ai.navigation, then it will use the package instead. And then I think we can actually remove it. It's this nav mesh components here that may still be generating errors about duplicated thing. This nav mesh components, I'm pretty sure you can just delete it. Because it's like an older version, I think. So it's from when Unity 2022 probably. If you look in the package manager under the Unity registry, we've got AI navigation installed, and that is that package. But it used to be that you had to provide it a different way. So I'm assuming that's why it was copied in there, because it didn't used to be in this package manager. And so basically just switching to using this one. And I don't know. We'll see if there's any more warnings later. All right. Again, this AI navigation thing is just something I like to do. It is not required for the EBS part. All right. So the next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and copy the folder out of the zip file for the EBS integration into the project. I'm just gonna drop that into the assets here, and most likely we are going to get a lot of compile issues, and that is because we need to make some changes to the various scripts in the RCK. But we have the files that I included here that will hopefully make it easier. Well, some of them are custom scripts and whatever, but it's all based off of the stuff that comes with the kit. So now that we've got this loaded up in here, then if we come into the code, then one of the big files to do here is cell information. Actually, we should do this in a little bit different order, because the cell information does loading. Where'd it go? Save file. Okay, so we're gonna start with save file. Open up save file and add this line. So copy this. That's a little annoying. I should use the PDF. Okay. So let's open up save file in the RCK, and really all that's happening here is adding the adding this building save data collection to the save file. So this is going to save all the various things that are placed into the world using the easy build system in an array, and we're adding that to the save file. And the reason that we didn't have to do this part first, this is included in one of the files that is in the zip file in the integration. So the building save data, and here it is. So it's adding a record for each building. I just called it building because I don't know, like it could be furniture or walls or whatever. So if you don't like the naming stuff, you can go through and rename everything, but it doesn't matter that much. at least to me. So each item gets saved in the save file with the world space ID that it's in, an instance ID. So when you have an item that you build, it has like a item ID or part ID, this build part ID. But when you make copies of that, obviously, then you need to know which ones you're dealing with when you go to edit or change them in the save file. So it has an instance ID, there's item ID that ties to the RCK item ID, then there's just a name for display, and then position, rotation, and scale, and there's this list of properties. This is part of the Easy Build system. I'm not currently using it for anything, but it is used by the EBS for the forest style building things, where you put down a building template and you add logs to it and things like that. So these properties by EBS are used to know how many of the logs you've put in, etc. I'm not using that again right now, but we could look into that at some point. And then this building save data collection is just a list of those building items or parts that have been placed. Okay, so that was adding it to the RCK save file. Then if we go back to cell information, I think can be next probably. Cell information. So if we go back to my rough guide here for cell information, we need to add these usings at the top. Anywhere you like to have usings if you like them to be organized, but whatever. So this is just including the necessary things for Easy Build system that are going to be referenced in here. Oops. And then what's next? Then around line 232 in finish load cell. So it's this spawn all building parts in cell. This finish load cell is already going to be there. So let's go down to line 230 something. So we're just adding in a new thing. So after we load all those things, we're gonna spawn all the building parts. So this is that building collection that I've just added to the save file. So we're gonna replace them into the world, and then here is that method. We'll just copy that method here, and you can put it after this one, or easier just to put it right here. Doesn't really matter where it is. Oh, buildings container. I forgot to add that one. So we see we have that error, but that is in here also. It just right here around line 49. Yeah, so right after the AI container. Okay, so I'm adding to the cell information another transform similar to the created items and the AI. It gives that method that we just added down there from when it's loading from the save file a place to put all of the buildings, because and this is more so when you're outside, which I didn't really do any much building with the outside, but I tried it before. When you're outside and you're using the world streaming, since all the scenes are loaded additively, during the loading process, if you don't give it some transform within the particular cell, even though I have the world space ID and cell of where it should go, or at least the world space ID of where it should go, and the coordinates, it doesn't know which scene to add it into. I think it adds it into, I don't know, it adds it in the wrong one, and then you don't end up finding them. So anyway, for loading, it's better to add it to a transform, much like the created items and other things that are dynamically placed in there. All right, and so that, I think, is it for cell information. Items, database file, let's just go through these and add all these code bits in. So item database file, this method I'm adding so that you can add a single item, because normally what you do when you create new items is go up to the menu and refresh all databases, and then it will search through the whole system, and that would work. But I created an editor wizard, which we'll be getting into in a bit, that automatically creates all the item things, because there's a bunch of different things you have to do to get a part in the inventory. Anyway, I'll go through that later. Anyway, so we're adding this to the items database so that we can add a single item without having to use the fill with all the items menu. Okay, next on the list, item in inventory property drawer. So, so this one, there was some sort of weird refreshing error. Item in inventory property drawer. (101) through 104. So something with the serialization of the items kept causing it to load over and over and over again, and it made it very difficult to edit the items. I don't know, this may be some kind of weird Unity bug. Maybe instead of deleting, you just want to comment it out. So we'll just comment out those two lines. In this one, and maybe this is even optional, but I found it to be an annoying problem that wouldn't let me edit things. Alright, next, inventory tab. I need to add buildings to this, to the inventory tabs. Oops. So these are just an enum of the categories, so it doesn't necessarily mean what so that's what's going to show on the screen. That's what I put in the UI, is just buildings. You can change it. Maybe at some point I was thinking I should do subcategories for like furniture and walls or chests and things like that, but right now it's all just under buildings. So add another tab to another tab to the inventory for that. Next, inventory pool manager. So we need to add this inventory pool manager. Items and list pool manager. I think that's what it is. Yeah, items in list pool manager. Gotcha. Okay. Items in list pool manager. So we're adding a new UI pool for building items. And I believe, yeah, in reset pools, we need to reset it. I'll just copy that. And, or let Copilot figure out the easy part. Copilot can add the next line too, I'm sure. And what am I adding? Oh, this is going to be a new function here. So show building items. We'll add show building items, which doesn't exist yet. And in the weapons pool, we need to hide the building items pool. And in the armor, there we go. In the armor, we're turning off all the building items for the other categories. Just following suit with the rest of the tabs here. I do have all that in the document. I don't know if I did populate all. I must have. Yeah, populate all of the building items, which is another method that does not yet exist, but we will do that anyway. Then we have after show weapon items. Show weapon items. This is adding that show building items method. And yeah, there's the other method, but I put it at the end. Okay. In merchant trade show all. Merchant trade show all. Yeah, just at the end of here. We'll pass that along. Tradable items top buildings. We have to modify that yet. So that error will go away eventually. And let's see. Then we have merchant trade weapons tab. Oh, merchant after merchant trade weapons tab. Okie dokie. Merchant trade. Weapons tab. And we add a similar thing, which actually in these other tabs, and Copilot knows we need to disable the buildings for all the other types of merchant tabs, so that similar to the inventory, this is just so that when you're looking at the tabs, you only see the things about the tabs that you are doing. Okay, next, now we can copy this, populate building items, and the buildings tab. Methods, and they can just be the last thing here. Or, well, it could be before this return item in inventory, because that's kind of unrelated. Maybe the other populate ones were above. But, again, it doesn't totally matter where we're going. Okay. So, we've got all that defined. We have these couple of errors, but those are from other files that we have yet to modify. So, continuing on. Next here on the list is drop items panel. Drop items panel. And this one we're just adding a couple of helper methods. And inventory UI. This is going inside of show tab items. Show tab items. Yes, add another case for the buildings. That's calling that buildings tab method that we just added to the items pool manager. And in update all items, we'll put this for loop to update the buildings. Update all items. Just add another case, or well, just another loop here. Okay, doke. So really, I mean, as a tutorial thing, this is how I do most of it, is just following what's already here and adding a very similar thing. All right, next on the list, item CS. Okay. So in item CS, we are basically adding this new item type as building. What did I call it? Building item. The AI already knew. Building item equals 7. And there's this types count here that's counting. It tells you it's counting the types up there, so I assume it's important to update that to 8. Now we have a new item type. Then looting inventory. We show tab items, so we're just checking if it's the buildings, so we can see those in the loot. And we already did the save file inside of the merchant. Add another to this enum, which is a bit flag type enum. So that merchants can have tradable items of buildings. Okay, trade system UI is the last code change to the RCK anyway. putting this in show tab items. Show tab items. Yeah, this is another case. Okay, now I get to find out whether or not my PDF is comprehensive or if I forgot something. Here we go. And now it will build, and hopefully all those errors will go away. Woo! All right. That is the coding step done. All right. Next, we need to start adding things into the various scenes. So we'll go to Cell View, go to the World Loader, which is going to take a second. All right, so I have included this building manager prefab in the EBS integration zip file, and what is on it is EBS building manager that keeps the registry of all the different building parts that are available for placing. And here is where you can also set the building types. What this comes with, and it also has some configuration settings. I have disabled the use area of interest, which seems like it would be something good with for optimizing performance. However, at least with the outside streaming, I found that to be a problem. It was always disabling, I think because it didn't know where they were because of the streaming additive scenes. But that's only for outside. And then as far as what I ended up doing was only really on the inside. And as far as that's concerned, I don't think you would really need area of interest. I mean, maybe if you have a ginormous interior, you would want to do that, but we'll consider that out of the scope of this initial setup. The other thing I put on here is a custom script, RCK build manager script, and that gets a reference to this building manager, and I pass in a building collection. And so the reason that I did that, Easy Build System does have a scriptable object building collection where you can load up all the different parts, and these are different parts I've already created for placing in the rooms, and you can just add them in here. The reason that I am doing it that way is in this building manager, you can click on this load building collection and it will automatically find all the different scriptable objects. These first ones are just ones that come with it from the EBS demo, and then I added the RCK building collection, which is just that one over there. If you do that, then it's loading in all of those parts into this registry, so I can click out, delete them out. That's fine. And then if you load the building collection, it'll put them back in. And if you were to click on one of these, like if we click on the default, then it'll also add those in. But the reason I separated it out, and actually it doesn't even matter what's in here, is because I set up this script to automatically just clear out whatever's in here and load in the building collection, so that we don't have to constantly come back in to the world loader scene and do this step. It's also doing it at runtime rather than only at edit time. So this one, when you do the load building collection, you have to kind of set it up ahead of time, which is fine because we're only doing things in the editor. But again, I don't want to have to constantly come into this and keep clicking load collection over and over again. So I thought it would be easier just to do this, where I can have it automatically load the collection. I can just edit the collection outside and not have to come back in here. So we're taking the building manager, which I did save as a prefab, and put that in here with all the rest of the abstract systems. And then we won't have to come back into the world loader to mess with that again. And yes, having it as a prefab here means the same thing. I don't have to load up the world loader to get at the building manager and do this. But it also is what I'm using to in the editor tool to create the parts, which I'll show soon, and then maybe that will become more clear as to the other reasons. The other thing that we have in here, I have a RCK player that's already prefab, that's different than the one that's here. And if I go into the actual prefab that we have in here, it is already configured with the various things that are necessary. So if you look at the first person character, first person camera, for example, no, that's not it. Hold on, let me hold Alt, close that. There's too many things. Okay, camera animation, first person character. Okay, it's on the first person character is where one of the things that's modified on the RCK player is, and that's adding the Easy Build System building placer. The building placer is basically the main script for Easy Build System that does the raycast out from the camera for determining whether or not it can build things. It interfaces with the building manager to find the registry of parts. And inside here, it has input settings and missing the input action references, and that is because we haven't done that part yet. So we'll probably want to do that before we replace the prefab. So yeah, let's talk about that now. So this input settings on the building placer, it uses a similar script class drop down here. So I've created a custom RCK EBS input handler script, and that is what is setting all of these different inputs. The input action references are just from any input system, but we want them to be from the one that the RCK is already using. So if we look at the RCK player, then we go to the input somewhere. Maybe I already passed it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So on the player input, we can see the RCK player is set to use this RCK player actions, and rather than change to a completely different actions, I was editing this one, but to make it easier, I did include in the EBS Integration, this RCK Player Actions Modified, which is a copy of that. So if I double click on that one, and I did this partially because I didn't want to totally replace the input actions. So you may have already made your own changes to it, so this might be easier. And so we can come in here, and there's one action added to the player map. This is toggle build mode, which I currently have set to pressing F1. And the other one is this entire action map for building. So what you can do is come in here. We're in the modified copy, and you can just right click on the building action map and go to copy, and then we'll close out of that, and we'll go back to the input, which is here under input, and we'll go into the RCK player actions. So now on the action maps, I can paste the building action map. Now that's already set up. Validate is like the confirm. I've only set it up to use the mouse, but you can come in here and add it, whatever actions, and change the key bindings to whatever you want. So validate, cancel, select all the different things that you're able to do within when you're in building mode. And then again in the player, I'm going to add that action. We could copy it out of the other one, or toggle build mode, and we'll go in here, set the binding to F1, and do that for keyboard and mouse, and then we should be good as far as input goes. Click save, and there we go. So now the main RCK player actions has the necessary actions. So if we come back into the Easy Build System Integration, back into the player here, go back to the first person character, and so we will have to update these, even though I included as the prefab to try and save time, because I didn't use the modified one. So you can just click on here and find the buildings toggle, or the toggle build mode, which, see, this is the script thing. You can, I don't know if you can see that it is constantly refreshing, and you can see that prefab. Yeah, you can see the prefab, the little star. So it's constantly updating this, which is some script, maybe the easy build, some editor script is doing something weird, so it's kind of annoying. We want to get the one toggle build mode is what I'm looking for here. So we want the one from not the modified one or the easy build system one, but the one that the RPG actions. And we want to put the reference fact. It'll be easier probably than searching, especially with this thing. So you can actually open up this RCK player actions, and so we'll just drag building cancel to cancel placement, and edit mode, and look where to go. Oh, look, I don't need to do destruction mode. That is the delete. Select building, select, and rotate building part. Oh my goodness, that is super annoying. Okay, validate. and toggle placing mode, place mode. And it looks like I forgot to add the counter clockwise rotation thing. Maybe if I select a different editor script inspector for the moment, that loading thing will stop happening. So we want to create an action, so come into the RCK player actions into building. Originally I just had one button to do rotate, but then later I decided I should have one to do clockwise and one to do counterclockwise. So we'll just go counter rotate and let's see, probably Q is a good one for that. Actually, I think rotate's originally set to V, so I'm going to change that to E. So Q and E will be my rotation when I have a part selected. It's not going to interfere with any of the other stuff because this is in a totally separate action map that won't be active, or that will only be active when you're in build mode. Okay, so then just need to come down here and suffer slightly for that. We'll get the building mode, counter rotate. Where is it? Counter rotate over here. Okay, so now that the input settings are done, I don't think we'll need to change any of this stuff. I've only added it, obviously, to the first-person character. The raycast settings for EBS are set to the first-person character camera, and the view type is first-person view. The layer mask only default in terrain for the layers. You can change that, obviously, and any of these other settings I've just preset to what I found to be useful. Snapping settings in a similar way. Those have to do with sockets, which I didn't get into really, and I didn't do anything with the audio either. But we can do that in a future thing, or it's not probably too complicated to figure out. Okay, so that's the building placer inside the player. The other things that are added that should already be working are not the inventory, in the canvases here. We have the build mode canvas, which is already set up, and it's already linked in the build placer to show, or yeah, in one of the scripts to show which one that was. That's just a really simple thing that I did that sets the icon and says what the text is. If we go here and go to 2D mode and take a look real quick, enabling it, that's that build mode placing with the icon. Yeah. And then in the various canvases, the looting UI pools manager already has the building items pool set up that we added in the code, with the build items pool here, and that's pointing to the build item looting UI, which is in the EBS integration. We have these two prefabs already set up for the icons. So all of that is already set up in here, so we should not have to make any other changes, I don't believe, to the RCK player. So then we want to replace it with this prefab. Again, if you've made changes to your own RCK player, then you'll have to manually copy the things across, and that's why I did not just directly modify the original one. So we'll just, I think we can do prefab, replace, and replace it with, find the one that shows, not the one in RPG Creation Kit, because that's the same one. We'll use the one here in the EBS integration. We'll just replace it. And that should, I think, do it. Oh, I need to double check that the events are still wired up. So in the player input, in the building mode, oh yeah, they wouldn't be set up because that didn't exist before. So in the player input, when we're in building mode, we need to be able to look and move around. So if you look at the player action map events, you can see move is going to this, going to the RCK player and calling the input move access, and look is calling the mouse look for the first person. And I think those are the only ones that we would need to do. So we come in here and we say look, and we want it to be the player, and we want to call RCK player input, I think it was probably move axis. Although that doesn't seem right. RCK player input. Why is there not a look? I don't know. Oops. Sorry. Alright, let's look real quick at the player again. What do we have for look? Mouse look input on changes. So, oh, it's first person character. Gotcha. Okay. So, we'll go back here into the building, and we want this actually to be the first person character inside of the RCK player, and then we can go to the mouse look input on look changes. And for move, we do want the player, and RCK player input move axis, and to be able to jump while you're doing build mode, and then also RCK player and input jump command. The rest of these are normal button presses that are handled by the input script, which I can talk about and go through a little bit later. I think that should be all we need to do in the world loader to enable this to work. So next we will take a look at setting up a build area to test this out. Alright, so next I've created a interior cell that we can use to test out the building system. That's in the EBS integration. Here we have the cells. I made a player farmhouse. Here's the cell and the scene for it. If we go into the scene, we can see it's just this empty room, which is a copy of, I think, Vera's farmhouse maybe, and I just deleted all the other stuff that was in here. So the doorway, I believe, may need to be adjusted. It's got the yeah, the object reference ID player farmhouse to Vera Hall. Vera Hale. I'm not sure how to pronounce the world. Anyway, I've got that ID there, but it is, and it's linked to a door that probably does not exist. I don't think it would exist because it's not in the default thing. So the interior is basically ready to go. We'll see in the cell info. Not the cell info. So let me just we'll go to this cell here, and one thing that we'll definitely need to do to have this work is here it says not in the build, so add it to the build. Yeah, so we need that to be able to load the scene, so it needs to be in the build settings. This is just a handy reference to the build settings with the scene list, so you don't have to manage that. This is just part of the RCK, if you weren't aware. Not only that, but we need to add it to the world space. Cells, because it will not automatically do that either, I don't think. So back to the player farmhouse, put the cell in there, boop, so that it is part of the interiors world space. And now when I go to the cell view thingy here, I can go to interiors and we can see player farmhouse, so we can just, I don't need to save anything because I didn't change. Technically we're in the same scene, and what I did was add it to the town here, which is 01. And what I did was just plop down another house kind of right next door to it, and that's probably fine. So you can just duplicate that and then move it over. Obviously you can put it wherever you want. But just to make that easier, and then probably just for my own sanity, player farmhouse is what this one is, so we can easily find it. And we need to get the door, and we need to change this to I think it was player farmhouse, maybe. Let's see, link door, this part, refresh. Oh, where did that go? Oh, that's weird. I don't know why it says none. Maybe now if I refresh? Why does that keep disappearing? Something weird there. Okay. Maybe if I first save this and then scene file not found. Let me save this, update the cell, maybe. Nope, still not finding that door. We're all 01 to player farmhouse. Okay, well, let's go to the little bit of troubleshooting in this one. So if we go to player farmhouse, I don't need to save, I just saved. And we look at the door. And player farmhouse to Viral01. Viral01 to player farmhouse. Yep, that is what I have there. I wonder if I'll be able to view link door. No. What do I need to save? Don't save. Oh, so it did find it. Because I already put that object reference. I don't know why it's not linked here. And that keeps crashing. Unable to find the scene. What scene is the problem? Oh, that's why, because I didn't change the cell to player farmhouse, which, there it is, player farmhouse cell. And now maybe, yes, now that was the problem, because I duplicated that other farmhouse and I didn't do all the steps, but I was close. Okay, so now that we got past me forgetting to do that, then these doors should be linked. And so we'll just save this. Now if we go to the main menu, I just saved it, but okay. Oh, and real quick, let's go back into the player farmhouse and show one of the key, or a couple of the key changes. So it's not just an empty interior. Easy Build System has the concept of these building areas. So within, you can set these. So within this is the only space that building is allowed. I went ahead and did that. I mean, it does allow free-form buildings, but I thought it would be better to specify where things can be built. So created that, and just has bounds. So I made it pretty big so that I wouldn't have any issues putting things anywhere within this scene. The other thing that I did in this scene is in this looting points, the barrel that I left in here is where I put all the furniture. I know obviously that is very immersion breaking, but in the items I have all of these inventory items. I put a couple of carrots and other things in there to test the chests, so that you can place down a chest and store things in it. And those items are already created here in the EBS integration. I included all of the stuff. So here's a bed, and you can see that there's several parts for that. I'll go into full detail on that in a moment, but for now, let's see if I went back to the main menu, which is over here. Let's test it and see if I've done enough that this will actually work. So, create a new game. Bob the Builder. I don't like him to be bald. Okay, continue. Yep. Let's go to the main demo. And we should have our house over here. Oh! I forgot to unlock the door. Okay, well let's create a new save game so we don't have to close the tutorial pop-up again. And let's go to Virail 01 and this doorway that I copied from the farmer house, unlocked. Okay, and now save that and try again. Load the game. Door to player farmhouse. We're in. Okay. Now, if I've done this all correctly, we can get all these things. I forgot to change my mouse sensitivity. Oh well. And that is not working. Okay, so I forgot a step. Alright, I figured out what the issue was with being able to place the buildings. I guess I got a little too excited on it working. Got ahead of myself. So one issue is in the RCK build manager script. There was a typo right here checking if build manager does not equal null and building collection does not equal null. In the previous code it was double equal there, so it was never actually entering in and loading that building collection. I hadn't noticed it because as we saw earlier, I had the building collection loaded into the building manager, so it wasn't actually doing the dynamic references that I thought it was doing. But so we just come in and change that. If you are going through the video with the old code, I will of course post the updated code to the Discord. The other reason that we weren't able to place things was because all of these items are not in the item database already. So the easy way to do that is just do the update all databases, and that should add in the items. So now, hopefully, having done that, if we click play, let's see. Oh, let me increase these to 10 because it is too slow for me. Okay. Load the game. Here we are. Oh, you know what? That's probably not. Oh, it is. Still seems slow. Alright. So, now we'll take all these items out of the chest here. Or I can just do take all. Barrel. Sorry. Now, if we go to inventory and click on one of these placeables, now we're in the building mode. Looks like the icon is not showing correctly for some reason, but so we'll figure that what's going on there. But yeah, now we have all these things. We're in build mode. We can use the wheel to place them. We can use Q or E. And press F1 to get out of build mode. Ah, okay. So there are a couple of things that need to be done. I think the materials for the bed were not properly applied. I will get into the details of that when we're explaining how to create. When I'm explaining how to create these new placeable items. Okay, but yay, the system is working. Only a few things left. Okay, so pretty much the last thing is going to be going over how to create the items, the different things that you can place on the ground, and taking a look at that. So, up at the menu here, RPG Creation Kit, under Create New, I've added this Build Item Wizard, which the code is along in the scripts under the editor folder, because it's a editor script. So to make it as easy as possible, I am including these things. So that's why you won't even have to remember to do the RPG Creation Kit update all databases, because I just link to the items database file right here. The script is designed to search the system and pick the first one. In the default RCK, there's only one anyway. So, but later, if and when you decided to have two different or multiple item database files or whatever, then you could pick one here. Building collection, same thing. It's actually searching for the first one that it finds, which is actually from the easy build system, and that is because of the order in the asset tree here, because easy build system comes first and those collections are inside there. So if I rename this to like put a 0 in the front or something so that it comes before, then it would pick this RCK building collection, but you can just drag it into there. That's what I would do, so that will be automatically added to that building collection. Then pick a model to create an item out of, and the item in world template that is here in the items is optional, but because you can just configure your own thing, I decided that all of the furniture items should just be this simple like bag, which is the cloth bag that's already included in the RCK. Mostly because we probably don't want the actual furniture pieces, like a whole bed model or whatever, to be in the room for pickup. It would be pretty complicated between, and probably annoying if you let everyone pick up all of the items that way. It's better, in my opinion, to do it only using the build system, which, by the way, when you're placing parts in the building system, if you go into the destruction mode to delete them, then it will put them back into your inventory as items. But this item in the world thing is just so if the player drops it and doesn't put it into a container and they drop it into the world, then it'll put this item out there. You can change it to whatever you want it to be. This is just a normal RCK item in world, and down here it has the item in world thing, and it's tied to the bed already because that's the one I initially used, but the script will take care of filling it out with the correct thing for the new item. So we put this template into there, would be my recommendation, and then you have to give it an item ID and tell it where you want it to go. So you want to pick something that you want to make into a placeable item object. So we could go into the prefab library and look at furniture. There's a shelf. I think I already did the shelf. I have not done a reception table. So let's do a reception table. The reception table here is just a mesh with a collider, which should be fine already. So we'll put that here in the model. It already suggests reception table 001. I probably could have made that better so there's no spaces. Because I don't like, a space is fine in an ID technically, but I don't really like that. And then 001, that's kind of the standard naming convention. The target folder is items, and I think that you actually want to create the folder for it first. Otherwise, it's going to put it straight into there, if I recall correctly. So I'll make a reception table 001 folder, and we'll find out if I am wrong or not. And we'll select the folder, and it will be the let's put it in here. So that's where it's going to go. Create building item. Boom. So now it has done all the hard work of automatically creating the build item scriptable object for easy build system. As you can, or actually, that's for the item in the inventory. The RCK item database. I'm sorry, my brain is not working apparently. The build item, the item that goes in the RCK inventory. We've already got all this stuff mostly filled out with the ID. It automatically generated an icon using the preview. It does not a perfect icon, obviously, because it just uses the Unity preview from looking at the thing and converts it. So you can make a better icon and replace it, but this sometimes works well enough to save you the time and trouble of having to do that and wire it all into all these things. There is a building item configurator made also, so just like normal items, you can click in here and look at that and give it scripts. I did not do anything with item scripts. Totally would be a maybe next step thing if people are interested to have item scripts for doing something like with quests or whatever when they place or take an item, any of those types of things. And there is a building part ID that links up with the building manager. And the building manager normally makes those goods, but then I realized, well, the item IDs also need to be unique, so might as well just be that. Anyway, so this is very similar to normal. It's the same thing as normal RCK items. And it creates the build part. That is the part that EBS uses. It's got the EBS building part on there. Because the building type, the category, is dynamic, or it comes from what is defined in the building manager. This one is harder to automatically do via scripts, so probably want to change this to other. And you can use EBS has its own generated thumbnail thing, which is very similar to how I generated it, so you can use that if you want to, but I've already taken care of that part. The model settings That actually, this we have to do a little bit more on. So so let's do that. So we double click on the build part here and go in and look at the prefab, and now we can go to this model settings here and we can drag the model in there and then click this generate building model bounds. That will be what's used for the placement, how it's placed. It's not, I don't believe it's based exactly on the colliders. The colliders are involved, but not necessarily, so it uses that. The preview settings, I don't think there's anything necessary to be changed here, but certain things you might change, and this is more of a EBS thing in general. Like for the chandelier, to get it to go onto the ceiling, I had to adjust a bunch of different offsets, not only in here but also in the model settings. You can change the offsets of the model. But for this one, since it's basically a cube, we won't need to probably do that. And then the conditions, these also need to be modified, so it won't work well if you don't do that. You need to enable the basics. I put building can placing only area. Check that so that I don't allow the freeform putting stuff anywhere. That way it'll stay within that building area that we put into the interior. Sockets are when you're attaching build parts to other build parts like walls and things, and I haven't yet done anything with that, so that's something either you can look into or maybe we can do later. And then you can, these are all EBS settings, so it's whether you can edit or destroy. It's up to you if you want to disallow those. But that's all I need to do, is come in here and check that building placing only area after enabling it. Also, I want to enable the collision condition, and just have it collide with default. And the other thing, and that is so that you won't be able to place it inside of other collider things, I think. And then probably I found over testing that you don't want it to be the collision you want the collision tolerance to be slightly lower, so probably something like 0.9, or maybe even 0.95 with this one. You can see the green box there is what's going to be used to tell whether or not the item fits. Maybe for this reception table it would even work at 1.0, or maybe I'm going to go with 9.5. So it'll have a little bit of leeway from pushing up against the walls if we want to do that. But this stuff is really just partially up to preference. You don't have to necessarily enable any of this other stuff. The terrain and the physics. EBS has a physics thing, so like in survival games, if you build and you put the ceilings up too high or whatever, or like Valheim, I don't know what people are familiar with, but if you build the buildings, then they can become structurally weak and then break and that kind of stuff. I didn't do anything with that in here. I'm keeping it simple so far. We can think about going into more detail another time. The thing you might want to do is the nav mesh condition, which I also haven't ever done anything with because I don't have any AI going in the room. But I believe that this will, as it says here, it's going to add a nav mesh obstacle component automatically to the item, and this gives you like the the shape of the nav mesh obstacle. It's going to complain there's no nav mesh surface in the scene, but I mean that's obvious because we're on the in the prefab view. You can also build these, you know, in another scene or something if that's more convenient. But I don't even need to worry about that, I don't think, because there's no AIs going into my room area. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. And then this custom RCK build part script, the building part isn't linked up. It's just this one. It will automatically grab it if it doesn't exist on start. I suppose I should have done it automatically during the wizard, but I didn't. It doesn't really matter either way because it will automatically try to get component. But if you assign this, then it won't have to get component. So, and then the item ID, that's referencing the item, the RCK item ID for the inventory, so that those match up. And that's it. So now this prefab should be set up. Here, like I said, the icon is automatically generated, and then we have the item in the world. It's automatically created, and now it is pointing to the build item. It's the RCK item. And yeah, we can have it. You can decide whether you want them to be stacked in a higher amount or not. Oh, that's in here actually. I don't ever set them cumulable. Oh, and you might want to set weight and value for these things, or maybe not. I definitely don't think that you should use realistic weights because it'll be a huge pain to do the like the room that I have with the barrel, for example. It would be a huge pain to have to only be able to take like one item out of the barrel at a time and place your room. It'll be super annoying. So I don't recommend setting realistic weights. It's probably something like, I don't know, 15 or even 20. Maybe for this reception table we could go with 25, so they don't have the ability to carry a ton of reception tables around. You know, but that's something to balance out for your game. Same with however much you want it to be worth. Depends on your economy and all that. Okay, so that new item, and that the wizard automatically adds this to the database, like I said, because we have it in there. So the only other thing, if we wanted to be able to place this, then would be to go to the interiors, go to the player's farmhouse here, and put it in the barrel. So, I mean, obviously it can be other places in your world or whatever, but for my testing, we'll just add another item here, and we will put this reception table in the barrel. Alright, let's save that, and let's see if we can do a reception table. And reception table. So in addition, you can, as I showed before, you can go into the inventory and you can just click on the thing, and there we go. I'm not sure what's going on with that icon in the UI, but we're still able to rotate that. And this, the amount that it rotates and whether or not it shows the direction arrow, those things are in the preview settings that I didn't change. You can go back into the build part and do that, and then now it should, yeah, so it turns red based on the collision settings, but we can put this in here, and this could be our shop. Oh yeah, and so not only can you access it from the inventory, but you can also press F1 to toggle and go back into build mode. Then once you're in build mode, it's F2 for place mode, F3 for edit, and F4 for destroy. And let me go to place, and you should be able to, we can put this little chest right on top. And so the chests work, small chests, and I can put I can't put that because it's there. Put my boots in the chest, and that should work fine. When it's saved, it should save those. It's generating a dynamic looting point ID for those already, and when you collect it through the destroy, then I should block that UI thing from happening, the search small chest. When we do a destroy mode, which once we're in destroy mode, when it highlights it red there, then we can just click and it takes back into the inventory. So now in my inventory I still have my boots and the chest and the reception table all came back, so it doesn't lose any of your items or anything. Okay. Alright, so now I think the only thing left really is to talk over some of these scripts. Just to give a general idea, the RCK build part is a game object that just has a reference to the easy build system building part and tracks the item ID and things like that. It has some events for when things changed that I'm not even currently using, just debug logging. It has the methods for building the save data that the save game system is using. And that is mainly what's required for that. Special version of that is extended from that for the looting points. So on the chests, instead of a normal RCK build part, it has a RCK build part looting point, and that is so that it will find the looting point on there and generate the ID, so that it has it gives it the same instance ID of the item being placed, so that when you put things in there, the save file will be able to track those properly, and it cleans it up when it's removed to the inventory, and it's what takes care of putting all the items back into your inventory right in there. The bulk of the system is in this RCK EBS input handler, which derives from the easy build system input. This is where I have all those input action references, and it figures out what parts are available based on what you have in your inventory, so that it can only place out of your inventory. And handles all of the logistics of putting everything into the save file and doing all of the rotating and things like that, controlling all the system. So feel free to look through that. This is the main place that all of that is happening. Then the RCK build manager, we looked at that briefly before with the typo. That's just handling that building collection population method, rather than having to do with it edit time that I talked about. The build mode UI, that's super simple one where I don't know why the icon is not coming through correctly. Building save data, this is just the container class for the data to of where things go in the save file. If you so it needs to know what world space it's in. So when the cell is loaded, it will only check and load the ones that are in the current world space that the cell for the cell, and tracking all of the position and rotation and all those things. And then these are just the UI items. Really, these are just a duplication for the most part of the other item and inventory UI things, and just changed to use building items because that's how that works. Not much to that. Item and inventory is just to give it a different kind of item, and the building item is also very simple. This is probably where we would do subcategories of like furniture and things like that, maybe, but nothing special is really going on here other than linking to the building part ID, which is referenced by the EBS system. And then here in the editor folder is a couple of the inspector for the item and that build item wizard, and that's and the window here for the for configure item. Though the inspector and the item window are basically copies of the other item types in the RCK, and then this wizard is a completely different window, and this one's using the UI toolkit because it's easier for new things to use that for me. And that is pretty much it for the scripts. Oh, and one final thing was I was going to show why the chest and the bed look weird, and that is because they, I believe, are not set up in the default RCK. So if we go to the build part here, yeah, we can see that it's gray on this chest and looks not textured. We'll go into here, find that prefab, and I think the material is why was that not working? Wooden object base color. Maybe it was just switch this to standard. Well, that definitely partially helped. I think maybe it was not, what is the deal there? I will definitely have to edit this piece to cut out all my hunting around. Actually, let me pause. Yeah, okay, it's because the small chest is actually tied to this internal thing and not that actual material for some reason. So if you right click on the material, extract material sub asset, in this folder, I guess might as well select this folder. And so here's the wooden objects, and here's the wooden objects base color that only is not standard. Let me switch this one as standard so we can just put the base color in here and the height. And it's already got the normal and the metallic. And then I just need to switch it to use this one. And that is a little better, too shiny, I think. That go with that. I feel like that should look brown though, but maybe not. Maybe this is a metal chest. Yeah, it was colored gray for some reason. DirectX normal. Maybe I'll use this regular normal map. No. Oh, maybe I should be using roughness. No, it should be metallic. Yeah, well, this is more of a how things you want to look like. And the bed, I think, was a similar issue. If I go to the bed here, bed and drawer, yeah, so this material that's inside that it's using for some reason is not set up correctly, so just right click on that, extract. I guess there's a materials folder, we'll put it in there. Bed and drawer. And then let's take the base color here. Already that one looks better. Height map. Metallic. Definitely don't want it to be so shiny. And that's a normal map, and that's a normal map. That's weird. I wonder what the difference between those two are. Oh yeah. So, bed and drawer. Make sure I have this normal map. It's probably already there. Okay. Yeah, that's looking, well, that looks a little odd. What's up with that? Is that the height? Yeah, the height's a little crazy. Maybe this normal is better. Yeah, that looks better. Gotta have a little bit more of the height back. Anyway, that looks much better than it did. And that's just because, for whatever reason, these things are not totally set up. I don't even know how many of these things inside the kit. There's a lot of all these models, and I don't even know how many are actually used. There's a lot of extra stuff that comes with this kit. It's really amazing. That's the gist of it. And yeah. All right.